Hey, what's up, people? You're now listening to the first ever Powercast. And this is the show where myself and Richard Bailey Jr. are going to be recapping all episodes of Power Season 3. So, firstly, what's up, Rich?
Hey, what's up, Gary? What's up, viewers and listeners? How's it going?
Going good over here. This is like one of our favorite TV shows on the Starz network. So, it was only right that we started to cover this show. For I know it's got a big viewership, so hopefully, you guys will listen and leave your comments, and we'll keep doing this for a while.
Absolutely.
Yeah, so I guess we're gonna be recapping episode 1, season 3. So I guess we'll start by just talking over some of the main points of what happened and stuff. So, I mean, the episode started off with James and Angela at Club Truth, and James tells Andre to use real names and stuff like that. So basically, he's really settling to being a legitimate club owner now, and he's kind of left the drug trade alone, which is cool. I don't know how long he's going to be able to keep that up. We then see Tommy, who's taken over the crew, and he's kind of struggling to keep things in order, and the gang actually needs a re-up of drugs. And then we see Greg, which is Angela's old colleague, and he's still kind of intent on exposing Jamie and Angela, and to prove that he's innocent and he wasn't actually stalking Angela and stuff like that. We see Angela at work, and she learns that Lobos is still alive. And later on, she has to visit Lobos and speak to him and everything. And he kind of alludes to the fact that somebody else tried to assassinate him. And that gives Angela the impression that he won't try to retaliate on Jamie. We then see Jamie talking to Tasha, and he tells her about what happened to Sean, because she obviously thinks that Jamie tried to kill Sean. But he sets the record straight and lets her know that Kanan killed Sean, and then he, quote unquote, killed Kanan in retaliation. And then we see later on, we see Greg going to Club Truth, and he talks to Cantos, which is Jamie's assistant at the club and everything. We see Lobos call Tommy, and he tells him that he's going to send him some of the product, and he kind of reminds him of his task, that he needs to kill Ghost, and also that people need to think that he's dead. And what happens next? So later on, we see Jamie publicly firing Cantos at the club, which was kind of cool, because I noticed throughout the episode he was kind of trying to position Andre to follow Cantos and learn what he's doing and stuff. So I kind of saw that coming a little bit. So that was kind of entertaining to see when it happened. We later see Tommy's dog, lying in a pool of blood when he gets home. I guess that's Lobo's trying to send a message that he needs to hurry up and kill Jamie. And the show kind of ends with Jamie and Angela. They're having a meal at home, and Angela opens up about Lobos. She confronts him about seeing Julio earlier at the club and everything, because she recognizes his tattoo from a gang. So she's, a bit concerned that Jamie's getting back into, the drug trade and stuff like that. So she confronts him about that. And, he just says that Julio was checking to see why he left the drug trade and blah, blah, blah. And they both have a discussion about Lobos, and Angela lets him know that Lobos won't try to retaliate. But then the show ends with Jamie calling Tommy. So he obviously has some kind of concerns, because So yeah, very eventful episode 1 right there. What were your thoughts after seeing the show?
All right, so first and foremost, let me just say this. It is such a great feeling to have Power back on TV. A year is entirely too long to wait in between these episodes, these shows. And you know, I'm glad to see it back. Now, as far as the reaction to the first episode, I thought everything was great. You know, we see that Ghost is trying to escape the old lifestyle, but obviously that's a very difficult thing to do because it's still fresh. Trying to gain control of the club. The club is doing well, as we have seen in the first episode. So, you know, I think it's admirable that, you know, he's trying to change. It's a good thing. But of course, all the other stuff going on is a concern. I think that Tommy, as a whole, I have to say, I really like how they handle the characters on the show, because Tommy had a metamorphosis in this episode. You got to see him have different emotions throughout the whole episode. He for one, you know, he's lost a little bit of control. You know, you see him going over the edge when he throws those gentlemen off the building.
Yeah.
Yeah, Tommy is a little, you know, crazy character, but then he also shows that he is vulnerable when he sees that his dog is dead. You know, and then of course, anytime he has to deal with his woman, he's very vulnerable as well. So, yeah, it's going to be very interesting to see how this character changes, because I think last season we got a chance to see just how close he was with Ghost. Well, he didn't want to rat on Ghost. And now, you know, that obviously may change as things go forward. They have to change anyway for him to remain alive, as well as his little family. So,
Yeah, the dynamic is very interesting. You know, I don't think he's gonna have it in him to be able to kill Jamie, because, you know, they were just too close, like they grew up together and everything.
yeah.
But then, you know, as long as Jamie continues to kind of be with Angela, it's gonna make things complicated for him. And obviously, you know, Lobos is gonna come after both of them if Tommy doesn't do the job. So something's gonna have to give at some point. Either, you know, either Tommy's gonna have to, you know, actually try and kill Ghost, like actively try and kill him, or the two of them may even team up again in the future. But then if that happens, that means Jamie's gonna lose Angela for sure, or he's gonna have to just end up lying to her. Because in the episode, you know, interestingly, he said that he wants to be 100% truthful to Angela, no lies, no anything. But I feel like he's gonna have to break her trust as things move on.
Well, I mean, I think he's already broken the trust now that he is, you know, when he decides at the end of the episode to call Tommy, it says, yeah, tell Tommy it's Ghost. So to me, that the end of that episode was him basically, well, now I got to jump back into this business. And slowly but surely, he probably will jump back into that. Of course, he isn't actively doing anything right now, except for having conversations, but I do think that's going to have to change because it's too much at stake. One other thing I did want to add as well, I really do like how they have now presented the conflict, which we will see play out throughout the season, where, you know, you have this situation where Angela's boss is working with Lobos. And now this guy they got to make sure nothing happens to Lobos, because they have that court order, the John Doe order, I believe they called it, where, you know, he has to stay protected. Because now whatever happens to Lobos, I mean, somebody is going to lose in the end. Because if he gets killed, you know, I guess Angela and that whole department is finished. Or, you know, if he survives and he is able to convince Tommy to kill Ghost, well, then Ghost won't make it. So either way you look at it, it's a major conflict that there's going to have to be a resolution as the season goes on. But I like the way they set that up, because every single season it seems like they have a conflict. So I would figure that once Angela was with Ghost, then, you know, it probably wouldn't get too much more complicated, but it is complicated now. So I'm very curious to see how they're going to deal with that moving forward.
Yeah, it's hard to see, you know, Jamie and Angela sustaining their relationship. And it's a shame, because I really like them as a couple. Like, even how the show opened up and they're at the club together, like, I think they make a great couple together.
Mhm.
But it's, you know, after seeing this episode and trying to look forward into the future, it's going to be really hard for them to stay together, I think, because you know, there's just things pulling at both sides of the spectrum. You know, you got the Lobo situation, you got Tommy, you got we didn't see Kanan, but we know that he's still alive. So, you know, he's out there somewhere. So all these things are going to come back to haunt Ghost in some way, and he's going to have to react or retaliate. And that will result in, you know, hardships for that relationship.
Mm-hmm. I did want to also mention two other things that I think are going to become some problems later. Notice that Tasha still does not believe that Ghost, you know, what Ghost said about Sean's death. And that is going to end up being an issue later, because if she doesn't believe him, even though Tommy said it as well, then that is going to be a major concern later. I'm not sure what's going to happen with that, but that may create a few more problems. And then also going back to what happened to Cantos at the end of the thing. Now we know Cantos is a slime ball. I think that that firing happened because of what happened last season, in the way that that him and Stern treated him last season. So my guess is that, you know, Cantos probably is going to link back up again with Stern and try to fire back in his own way to try to compete once again with you know, Ghost as far as the club is concerned. I mean, I'm not really sure how they're going to do that, but one way or another, that character isn't completely gone. I feel like he's going to have.
I think he'll be back.
Yeah, he's going to have some revenge on his mind, one way or another. So I'll be curious to see how that plays out. Also, to play into that, of course, you mentioned earlier that Greg was at the club. I noticed that Greg never came back to the club. I thought that was interesting. So I think that there is going to eventually be a confrontation between Greg and Jamie once again. But I found it interesting how the guy said, yeah, he'll be back, didn't bother to come back. So I don't know, maybe if that's something that will happen in a later episode where eventually he does return. But this Greg guy has some issues, man. He needs to get himself another woman, stop thinking about Angela, stop making it personal. But you know, these cops, or pretty much anybody that they have this thing in them where they have to get to the bottom of things no matter what. They go above and also break the law. That normally doesn't end well. So we'll have to see what happens with that particular relationship moving forward.
Yeah, I do think that you know, if things do deteriorate with Jamie and Angela, I do think she'll go back running to Greg, and you know, they'll kind of try and build something together to try and take down Ghost or whoever, you know, whatever the situation is at that point.
Uh-oh.
So I don't know. There's a lot of loose threads there. So we'll have to see what happens. One person to also consider is Andre, and you know, in this episode he showed that, you know, he's getting bored of the legit lifestyle and he wants to go back to doing the dirty. He wants to go back to hustling. What do you think is the future for that character?
Well, here's the thing. That character, you know, somebody who was trying to, you know, Ghost is trying to help him change his image, do what he has to do for his daughter. But he's just looking at it, well, the hustle is all I know. So I think that's going to probably be an issue later. I mean, for now, that character seems loyal to Ghost. But it's going to be very interesting to see what happens when Kanan returns, because I'm pretty sure that this guy knows that he had something to do with that. So he may even go after him or try to get him to, you know, after he threatens him, maybe try to get him to help him take down Ghost. I mean, I'm not sure how that's going to pan out, but I just think it is interesting that this character in particular, something's going to happen with this character because he's struggling to get a hold of just trying to have a regular, clean life. So that is going to come back one way or another as the season progresses.
Yeah, and also, you know, there's Tasha and the kids, like they have to all kind of readjust to this new situation and this new lifestyle of James. And we see that, you know, James goes to visit Tasha and ask if the kids can see Angela and meet her and everything. So I wonder how all that stuff is going to play out in the future.
Yeah, that's going to also be another very interesting conflict because, I mean, the kids didn't ask for any of this to happen between, you know, their parents. So it's going to have some type of backlash on them. Well, hopefully, you know, not a lethal backlash. But I think now that you know that Kanan is still alive, there's too many things going on right now where that lets me know, well, somebody is legit probably going to die by the end of this season because you can't have all of this stuff going on. I just hopeful that it is not somebody in the family, but you know, you just never know how this stuff is going to pan out. You know, and the one thing I do notice is that in this first episode in particular, the characters are not very open with each other to the fullest extent. You know, at the end, you did see that Ghost and Angela had the discussion and they talked about Lobos. That was good. But, you know, all the stuff going on with Tommy, he hasn't been upfront with his woman about what's going on. He hasn't even been upfront with Julio about the fact of why they're not getting all the shipment in because we have to kill Ghost to get the shipment in. So a lot of that stuff, you know, sooner or later, you have to be honest about the situation. So I'm looking forward to seeing how they're going to handle that moving forward because Tommy especially has to be clear about some stuff. But then it's going to be interesting to see how those other characters who were loyal to Ghost react when they know, well, yeah, Tommy has to kill him. So now what do I do? Do I help Ghost or am I also going to fall in line with Tommy and help him kill him? So these are some good questions that you're going to have to ask moving forward.
Yeah. I mean, Tommy, he's got a lot of weight on his shoulders, and it's like everyone. It's hard for him to. He hasn't got anyone that he can put his trust in because everyone around him kind of wants something. Like they got their own motives. You know, there's Holly, there's Tasha, and then obviously you know Ghost and Julio, Lobos. Like everyone wants something, and it's like who does he put his trust in? So he's in a very tough situation in the show, and it's going to be interesting to see how things play out with him.
Yeah.
As for Lobos, I mean, what do you think the end goal was going to be with this? Like, is Lobos going to come? I mean, he's obviously he wants to kill Jamie. That's on his to-do list, but like, what ultimately is his end goal? Do you think? Like, what does he want to achieve?
Well, that's a good question. Obviously, he wants to get back to being in power, possibly wants to get out of the country and get in a much safer territory and not be held in custody. But that's going to take a while. I know he wants to take down Jamie. We already have a good idea of the people that he has that are working for him that can make that happen because we know who killed the dog. So, you know, it's going to, I mean, the only way I see it, like you said before, the only way I could see for that plan to be averted would be for Tommy to somehow, you know, just somehow work with Ghost to take down Lobos. But I really don't know how that's going to happen. We have to see what the fallout is going to be after this episode. But for now, I definitely say that, you know, Lobos is still somewhat of a dangerous character. Not really. I don't think he's really too dangerous because, I mean, this guy he's the one who's basically telling people to do this. I want you to kill them. He's not so much of a major threat as it would appear to be. I think the biggest threats are obviously going to be, you know, everyone else that's involved to a degree. Because, again, if anything happens to Lobos, it's not good for either side. So has to come to a middle ground, and it's going to be interesting to see how they fix that whole situation.
Yeah, for sure. I really just can't wait to see what's going to happen next, man. Like they've set it up so nicely. Like this episode just sets up the whole season pretty much, and it's going to be interesting to see how it all plays out.
Yes, absolutely.
All right, cool. So any other main points you wanted to discuss before we get out of here?
Yeah, the one last thing I will say, like I said not too long ago in this particular show, I really do believe that somebody will die this season. And the reason I say that is because they keep showing that death card over and over again for a reason.
Oh, yeah.
Ghost is still holding on to that card. So I really do think it's evident that somebody probably will not make it past this season. I don't know who it's going to be, but I do know that once it happens, it's probably going to be a major person because, I mean, I don't think it's going to be any secondary characters. We saw people in the past seasons get killed. These people weren't really major characters, but I think you definitely will see something happen to somebody before the season is over.
Yeah, someone's gonna someone has to go in this season, like for the story to progress, because I can't really see how far it could progress if everybody's still living after the season. So it's like somebody has to kind of go for it to progress. I kind of think they'll continue to build Kanan up as the ultimate villain kind of thing.
Mm-hmm.
So maybe this season will end in them finally getting Lobos, and then Kanan will be like the big bad boss for the next season or something like that. But who knows? It could go anywhere at this point.
Oh yeah, definitely. Yeah, without a doubt.
Yeah. All right, so make sure you guys leave your comments and make sure you like this video and subscribe and all that good stuff. And yeah, we'll see you next week for episode 2, season 3 of Power.
Absolutely. Great to have the show back, and stay tuned for our future recaps.
For sure. Any final shout outs?
Oh, just a shout out to all the people that took the time to listen to this, if they did listen to it. I'd like to give a special thanks to Starz for allowing us to see the episode early. And we will definitely continue to give our honest opinions of everything that we see from here on out. So thanks again, and we hope you guys have a great evening.
For sure. Peace out, people.